it does. Hello, everyone, and welcome down to episode 123 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the guy on your other screen or in your other ear, if you're listening to the podcast, it's Cam Blake in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Hello, Cameron.
Hello, Brendan. How are you?
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Do you reckon we should spruce that intro up? Like, hello, everyone. Like, maybe we should say something else.
Okay, sure, but then I'll have to learn something else. So
Yeah, I know,
no.
but I think 123 episodes in, maybe we can mix it up a bit.
No,
Hello, you bunch of absolute friggin' legends.
that's right. That's
Something like
better.
that.
Yeah.
What does Aussie man say? He says a
They
few
know
things.
that. He says something along the lines of, "Here's me face."
Here's my face. That's right. Here's my face. And
I met Aussie Man.
you did. And did you get him on the show? No, you did
I
not.
asked him to come on the show.
You
and
did not.
He went, "Come and talk to me when you've got an extra couple of zeros after your subscribe account."
No, I reckon he would.
Speaking of, thank you to all 821 of you who have subscribed on the YouTube channel or subscribed through your favorite podcast provider on your phone. Thank you very much. We are trending nicely, very popular in Ireland. Hello to all our Irish listeners and viewers. That's exciting.
Can't say what I want to say, but yes, thank you. And that's all thanks to our mate Sean, who was on the show. Well, sort of on the show the other week.
Yes.
When
you sent him a hat yet?
Have you?
No. That's why I'm asking if you have.
Yeah, it's in the mail.
Oh, yeah, it's all right. Definitely on its way.
As of tomorrow.
For sure. Cam, we had a massive...
To be sure.
to be sure. We had a massive week down the Great Ocean Road, which we're going to talk about tonight. Because
wasn't that big, but anyway.
Those of you who've seen the thumbnail will know that we're about to bang on ad nauseum about how awesome that trip was. But before we get there, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. It is a new month.
It is.
It's also a new season.
That is. It is now the season of winter.
And how boring would it be if our next photo comps theme was just winter? Let's do that then.
Okay, let's do that. Let's say winter. It's got to be
just winter.
Winter with something, like winter with something.
Let's just go with winter. That's
just
nice
winter.
And broad. I like broad comps.
Yeah, but that makes it hard then because we've got to sort through 545,000 broad winter shots.
We will. The way you enter our comps is via our Facebook page. So if you go to Down South Photo Show on Facebook, probably linked in description, I would imagine, you can go there. You can find the pinned post that Cameron is feverishly pinning as we speak, and sure. And you can see our winter comp there. We'll probably put one of Cam's awesome winter photo comps from winter photos from in Tassie as our lead image. So you can see that. And below that, comment with your favorite winter photo and you are entered into the competition. It's as simple as that, Cameron.
It is as simple as that. I am going to put the post up now, as you say. So we
even though you could probably do it in the next few days because this isn't going out for a few days. So
if I don't do it now, I just forget.
This is
I'm very much that's an idea. Let's do it now.
Yes.
Not here's an idea. Let's put a note down and come back to it later.
My problem is I'm like that. It's like, yeah, here's an idea. Let's do it now. But I'll forget about the 17 other unfinished projects I've already started.
I think there's a name for that, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right.
Disorganized.
Brendanism.
Yeah, so we'll do that. So that'll run for the month of June.
Yes.
We'll announce the winners in July. Then we'll have the People's Choice throughout July.
And then we'll have another comp in August.
Mate, this is a very well-oiled machine, isn't it?
We are just rocking and a-rolling.
Yeah.
Now, Cam, I don't know. I have no idea. So, yeah, go over to our Facebook page. Last comp, I think we had 85 entries or something. So, yeah, very, very cool. So, let's do that again.
I reckon we can get 100.
I think we can. And you'll get, I think it's my turn to dish out a prize. So, you'll get something. Anyway, we'll work that out. From Ocean Grove Camera and Photo.
Oh, that's so hey, it's Saturday. You are John Blackman and Daryl Summers rolled into one.
I thought John Blackman was awesome.
John Blackman was hilarious.
He was very funny man. Very funny man.
Just on the spot. Very, very funny.
I've been going back through, for those of you who aren't familiar, there was a TV show in the 80s when we were growing up, 80s and 90s, I guess, called Hey, Hey, It's Saturday. And basically what it was, it became a variety show of a Saturday. It used to be a kids' cartoon show on a Saturday morning.
It did. It started off that, didn't it? Yeah.
That's right. And then they started to work a bit adult on it. So they went, hang on a minute, this could work in an adult time slot. So it became Hey Hey It's
And
Saturday, and it
didn't
was
it what? It worked a
yeah, no, it
treat.
was huge. It was massive. It was an institution for many years. I remember, you know, getting ready to go out, and you'd have red faces on in the background, or
Yes.
yeah,
I don't know
or
how many cans of beer I drank watching that get ready for
oh, brilliant to
a
head
night
out on
out
the
somewhere.
tiles.
Yeah, get out before I went out and made a fool of myself.
They
Oh,
actually had, as a good little segue, they had a segment called Funny Photos.
they did have funny photos. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
that's I'm telling you.
maybe our
Maybe.
theme for August might be funny photo.
All right,
That could be interesting.
that could be cool.
Anyway, we digress. Backgrounds. I think it's your turn, your week to start, Cameron. So
Right, yeah,
put your high tech cover over your screen.
yeah. Put my
Yeah,
head all over
very
it.
high tech. Pow.
This is
Oh,
a
minimalist. I like it.
minimalist. It's ICM. ICM minimalistic. It's everything.
It is.
So this is on the very first night of the Down South Photo Show, Great Ocean
How
Road.
about that? The very first
Once
sesh.
I put this together, right? It was the Down South Photo Show, Great Ocean Road Photo Shop, which was also hosted by the Ocean Grove Camera and Photo.
Yeah,
That's a,
there's a
that's
lot
a
of photos in there.
that's a friggin' mouthful. And oceans. So this is on the first night down at, I guess it's just Crescent Bay. Is that correct?
Well, it's Apollo Bay,
All
but
right.
it's called Apollo Bay because it's in the shape of a crescent, as in crescent
That's right.
moon,
I
hence
was
Apollo
listening.
Bay.
I did
You
listen, I
were,
promise.
you were.
And we didn't get too much action. It was more almost like a bit of an introductory. Hey, folks, get to know each other, get to know your camera a bit, but yeah, blow the dust off a bit. And we just walked
Yeah.
along this beach and took some shots. And I saw the color changing a bit and the waves. And we had a little mini ICM, which for those who don't know what ICM is, it's in intentional camera movement. To sort of create, so you pan as you shoot, so the shutter speed slows a bit, and you pan across to create those nice smooth landscapes there. So that's what I did. It's nothing majorly special. You just told me I couldn't put up the photo I wanted because it's part of the other photos. So
I disagree. I think that photo is quite good. You said it's
huh,
nothing special. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the gradients.
cool.
I like the way the water's been smoothed. It's a good shot.
Okay. Yeah,
Now
I don't mind.
we didn't even talk to each other about our backgrounds. But my background happens to be yours was on the first session of the trip. My
Yes,
background's on the last session of the
it
trip.
is. We're
So
doing bookends.
these were 5 days apart, or four, five, whatever. You lose track of days. 5 days apart. So we we sort of someone might have underestimated just
Hmm.
how steep it was to get up to this lookout. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure that was me.
I think it might have been you. Yeah.
Forgot really because the photos from up there are so good. This is Mariner's Lookout. The town you're looking over there is Apollo Bay. And further in the distance, you can see like Marengo, and then further on down towards Cape Otway. So, great spot for the sunrise. And holy dooly, did we not get a corker, Cameron?
It was okay. Once the defibrillator had been put away, it was all
Yeah,
good.
no, it was good. We oh, we'll get into it as we go further on. But yeah,
It was a good start to the day.
it was a very good
Um,
start to the day.
and I funny you say all that. Like after we got home and I was looking through my photos, I'm like, I'm pretty sure Lisa and I went up to that lookout when we went down scouting a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember that hill being as steep.
Yep.
But we didn't do it in the dark either, so maybe that sort of
Yeah.
made a difference. But it was all
Well, I
right.
think
We made
also
it.
we got there as the sunrise was kicking off, so we had to kind of leg it
We did,
to get
yes.
up there. And when you're trying to leg it up steep stuff, it yeah, every one of my 51 years became apparent.
Well, spare of thought for some of the other people on the trip who
Oh, they were fine.
we were
They
the
were
two
fine.
youngest.
They were
I
huffing and puffing a little bit.
I haven't seen any reviews come through yet from the workshop.
That's right. So
Yes.
we stand to be corrected on that.
Mm,
But Cam, an overview. So I thought we'd sort of break down the tour a little bit.
yeah,
We based ourselves in beautiful Apollo Bay, as we already mentioned. And I doubt that you would find a better location, a better town to explore the Great Ocean Road than Apollo Bay. It's very, very central to the entire Great Ocean Road, really.
yeah.
One end you start at Torquay, the other end you go through to Port Campbell and slightly further on. So Apollo Bay is sort of like the epicenter of the Great Ocean Road for mine.
And the fun stuff doesn't really happen until you get towards Apollo Bay, really. Like
Yeah.
Torquay's nice and you got Bell's Beach and you got all that kind of stuff up that way, but that's just stupidly busy.
Yes.
And there's nothing, it's just beaches. It's nice, but a couple of towns before Apollo Bay, that's when it sort of starts to really kick
Yeah.
off.
So
We get
around
those dramatic.
Lawn,
Yeah, lawn, and
Yeah.
once you get around those sort of sea cliffs and you're driving along the like pretty much look like you're driving in the water.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to get good. So yeah, I think congratulations to you on picking a great spot to stay.
Thank you.
Um, we nailed that one. It was nice and easy.
Yeah.
The furthest we had to drive was like an hour. That was about
Yep.
it, which is
Yep.
good. So yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah, it was a good spot. Shout out to the Waterfront Motel. I told them I'd give them a shout out. The accommodation was great. That's
They
the
they
Waterfront Motel, 173 Great Ocean Road, Apollo Bay,
and of
possibly
course they
linked.
subscribe, don't they?
They do now.
They better. Otherwise, we're attracting that plug.
um, yeah, and look, the town itself, everything's there that you need.
Yeah,
Plenty of amenities there, supermarkets,
bottle shop.
Apollo Bay Hotel. The pub was great. The
The
meals
pub
were
was good. Yeah,
yeah,
the pub was a welcome surprise. Like
yeah,
sometimes you go to those big seaside towns and have that, that well-known pub that everyone goes to, and you walk in and it's just crap.
yeah,
Staff don't care,
yeah,
but it was really well done. We had a
yeah.
table every night. The food
They were
was good.
very inviting in there, weren't they?
They were great, and a
Yeah,
lot there were a lot of foreigners working there. Like we had the
yeah,
French, I think we had a French person in there. We
yeah.
had some
French person,
German and
Irish lady
Irish
there.
lady as
Yeah,
well.
yep,
So obviously they're backpacking around, but they took pride in their work, and like I said, the food was good. And it was close to where we were staying as well. Some people walked home after dinner some nights and stuff like that. So it was good.
yeah. No, it was that was excellent. So, but as far as photography is concerned, we went, as Cam said, up to an hour in any direction from Apollo Bay, and you can be in somewhere completely different.
Mm,
It was great. Look, clearly the Great Ocean Road, the jewel in the crown of the Great Ocean Road is the 12 Apostles, or the Some Apostles, as I've been calling it for years on the show now. Um, and I think for mine, I don't know. Every time I walk around that corner to the top of those stairs and look at that view across the 12 Apostles, it just takes your breath away. It is a magnificent spot to take photos.
You did say, I think at one stage you came up to me and said, "This is the best view in Australia."
Yes.
And I went, it's okay. But yeah,
Mhm.
well, it was pretty good though.
I think it is. I honestly do
Yeah.
think it takes some beating. As
Mm.
far as pure views go from an elevated position overlooking, a landscape,
The Three Sisters at Blue Mountains that go pretty hard,
yeah,
close.
it's nice there. It's nice.
Mm.
And of course you've got Uluru, which is great, and the Olgas, those sort of places, which
Yeah,
are
Cradle
iconic
Mountain goes
Australian
okay.
locations.
Yeah.
But I think the thing with the Some Apostles is the way it can change. Like every time I go there, different photos,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you go to Uluru, you pretty much know what you're going to get unless you're lucky enough to get a storm.
Yes.
Whereas at the Some Apostles, different tides, different clouds, different weather, wind,
Yeah.
rain, you name it.
See, the seasons definitely play
Yeah.
a change down there as
And
well.
because at sunset there, you're looking towards the sunset,
Yeah.
depending on the time of year, you can definitely see how much it varies, how far to the south and how far to the north the sun actually sets there.
Yeah.
And of course, it might have been by design or we might have just fluked it, but we did get the sun to set right behind the 12 apostles. So that was
You,
pretty specky.
you can take credit for that.
It was cool. I might have done a bit of scouting to make sure that the date fell at the right time for that particular trip.
Now, one thing I didn't like about the 12 Apostles,
Was the people.
the people.
It's
Yeah,
very busy.
yes, you're going to get, you're going to go to a spot like that and you're going to get crowds.
Yep.
I think I know this is the thing I don't struggle with it, but I think a lot of people do is the cultural differences when you go to these really big tourism
Yeah.
spots. And you have the visitors from overseas who are used to going to these crowded places, and they don't care. They'll just barge to the front and get their spot. Where other people sit back and they sort of get frustrated they can't see things or can't get to the front and stuff like that. But that was the one thing I probably didn't like about the 12 Apostles was just,
Yeah.
mind you, it was a cracking sunset.
It was.
So I think the most people that were there, I think, would probably stayed around longer than they maybe would have because of
Yes.
that. But when
Yes.
I took a photo either way down that platform, and it was 3 deep, 4 deep
Yeah.
on every angle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I think it goes without saying, if you're making the effort to go, now we had several people, I think most people had never seen the 12 apostles. So
that was
on
weird,
the
wasn't
trip,
it?
it was. And if
Yeah.
you're going to make the effort to go there, don't let the people put you off. Just
No,
go,
no.
put up with the people, get your photos.
Well, yeah.
I think because we did sunrise, which was fantastic because there were so few people there at sunrise, it
Yeah.
was bitterly cold and we had a southerly blowing, but that's all
It's
right.
okay.
We put up with that. That was great. But I also think at sunset we did the right thing because we got there plenty early, so
Yeah, I
a
was
good
just about to
90
say that.
minutes,
Yeah,
and tripods took center stage. So,
yeah,
it basically cordoned off. Yes, you still had people shoving their phones under your chin basically to take a photo, but generally speaking, it gave you
yeah,
your spot, which I thought was
yeah.
great.
Well, that was what I was going to say. I think a couple of tips like that. That's I'm not a big fan of crowds. That's fine, but that was one thing that I was a bit disappointed with was the crowds and not so much the people there, but just how everyone interacts. Everyone sort
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
people just pushing and shoving a bit. But
Yeah. Well,
you're
the other
100%.
thing to take into account was when we were there, literally half the platform was closed while they're
Yeah,
renovating it. So
that's right.
the
Yeah,
platform further around, which is can't be that far from opening. It looks
the one
pretty
that's not
cool.
level.
Yeah, the one you kept
It's
pointing
not
out was
level.
not level.
Although David, who's a civil engineer, said it was.
It
I'm
was,
I'm
yeah.
I'm disputing it.
Yeah.
But I think going back to that thing, I think you're
Why
right
would you
though.
take
Like,
David's word for it? He's only been a civil engineer for 50 years.
yeah, what would he know? Nothing. Um, G'day, David, if you're watching.
Of course he
um,
is.
so even though the crowds are there, like I said, if I was going to go back there, which we are in February,
Yes.
the sunrise was good. Like I said, we had the place to ourselves, which was
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
And if the sunset, if you're going there and you're not coming with us, like I said, go there and give yourself an hour before sunset to get yourself a spot. Get there early. Yes, you're going to stand around a bit, but if you want that shot and you want front row tickets, you've got to prepare. It's like any other sunrise or any sunset. You should be getting there
Yep.
earlier to prepare. Well, this is
Yep.
just another part of that. You need to get there to, beat some of those crowds. But I would hate to see it, on a day that was something major was going on, or
Yeah. Like an
like some
aurora.
like an aurora or something like that. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But having said that, I must admit, like coming up here from Tassie to Victoria, I was really impressed with the infrastructure of that
Yeah.
whole area. Like I
Yeah.
know I've been there years ago, but um, you walk under the road, there's the paths are wide, there's room for everyone to get past. The car park worked well, the amenities are good. So like, for all intents and purposes, that the crowd was a bit busy, but
Yep.
the rest of it was great.
Wait till you see it in summer. You
Why are
ain't
we going in
seen
summer
nothing
again?
yet. um, I want to give a. I saw something that the 12 Apostles I'd never seen before, and something that I'd never seen in my life before.
Oh, can I try and guess?
You go,
Uh,
oh, really? You have to think that
yeah,
hard about it?
yeah, no, a marriage proposal. No,
No, I saw fairy penguins heading out
you
to
can't call them
sea.
fairy penguins.
I can call them whatever I want.
It's my show. I'll call them
That's
what I
right.
want.
Yeah, fairy penguins actually heading out to sea, which is like it's
In the
so
in the
cool that you
morning,
can in the morning you can
yeah,
see
where we saw
them.
him. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you can see them land there quite regularly, but to see them actually going out, I always thought they were purely under the cover of darkness. Now we got there at daybreak,
yeah,
and it was just you could just start to make out the outline of
yeah.
things. And then I heard them, and it's like, oh my God, there's the penguins. And then you
So
look down, and you could actually see the little. I had a camera in my backpack, not ready to go, and it was just whew, out they went. So
well, I,
fans of the
I,
show will remember the image that I did get of the penguins there landing last year.
yeah, like as in walking, not flying.
Well, they don't fly, Cameron.
It must have at some stage.
They're penguins.
Um, yeah, I must admit, when you said that, and I remember seeing them walk out, I just assumed that was normal. I just,
Yeah. Well, it
yeah,
probably is, but
yeah,
I'd never. I mean, I've been there at sunrise many times, but that's the
yeah.
first time I've seen the penguins
Well,
going out.
that's what we offer on these down
That's
south photo show workshops. We just click
and
our
to be
fingers.
honest, that was the low water mark. I mean, it just got
Yeah,
better from there the whole trip. So
yeah. Well, that was the that was the first morning, wasn't it?
it was the very first morning. Now,
Yeah.
rather than just go through the whole trip morning day by day, I thought
Uh,
what we do would be what we did on the Tarkon and Cradle Mountain trip, and that is pick our five, not necessarily best images or favorites, just five images that sort of covered the trip for us. To
yeah.
be perfectly honest, I haven't even had time yet to go through all my photos. I very quickly went through and picked out what I thought would be the best ones, or the ones that meant the most to me on the trip. So, should we do that, Cam? Should we start the show?
So,
Now, this is where I apologize to anyone who's in their car, out for a run,
yeah.
exercising, got the headphones in and can't see a screen because
There's someone out there at the moment going, for fuck's sake. Stop putting visuals on the
I
bloody.
know.
I'm on a
On a
I'm on a pod.
photography podcast.
I'm
How
on a
dare you?
photography podcast. Stop putting visuals up when I'm driving along.
Yeah. So
Now I'm
for
gonna
the
have to
next
go
20
home.
minutes or so,
Look at it.
we're going to be showing photos on the screen and give you 1,000 words for each image. So because the picture's worth 1,000 words, as we know.
And
So
subscriber count.
just went down. So let's do that. Let's see if I can remember how to share a screen. We'll go here and we'll go there.
Not that screen. Not that screen.
And we'll go there.
No.
How's that look?
It looks like a screen with a photo on it.
Very good. And it's telling me that I'm sharing that screen. Cameron, that looks like one of yours because it's got your signature at the bottom left of it there.
I thought it might have been Cameron Flake.
And Brendan Waits.
Brendan Waits. We haven't touched on that.
Would you care to well, it's your photo.
Yeah, I can touch on it. So this photo is of apostles numbers 3 and 4, I believe. No, I got no idea what that. So this is down the bottom of Gibson Steps. Now, I carried on a bit on that trip like a bit of a child because I wanted to go down Gibson Steps and I was going to hold my breath and stamp my feet until Brendan let me go down Gibson Steps. So we split the group up. We put it, whoever wanted to go down the Gibson Steps could come with me, and you were going to drop the rest up to the 12 apostles to get their spots.
Which we did.
Which we did. So I'm really glad I went down there. So it was lowish tide. We're able to walk up and around the corner from down the stairs. I had 3 or 4 people with me. It was really, really lovely. There's a few people down there, but what was really cool was that when we got up to that corner where these 2 apostles were, the water was sort of coming in and wetting that sand. So we're able to get some nice reflections on those apostles. So that's the sort of visual I had before I went down there. I'm like, I'd like to get one of those reflecting in the sand. And funnily enough, I'd never been able to get around the corner on the last time we went down there.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that little second apostle was behind the other one.
Yeah.
So
and you don't really see it until you walk further along the beach.
You don't see it until you get to that corner. So I'm like, oh, 2 for the price of 1. So then I had to sort of maneuver myself, and I had Alan there, and I think I had Janet with me as well, where we had to sort of just get the right angle to get that reflection on that water properly on the wet sand. So, but it was pretty cool. I'm glad I went down there. And
well, what you had working in your favor there was, yes, the tides were right, but 2, there haven't been massive swells, winter swells yet. So there's a big buildup of sand there.
Yeah, right.
So you're able to get around the heads, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't, even at low tide, you can't get around there.
Right.
And you've got to be careful because the tide comes in pretty quick there. So
yeah,
I love this photo, Cam. It's got an infrared feel about it.
Yeah, I think we just had the right sun on that left apostle there, and just shooting with the polarizer on helped make that sort of sky go a bit darker. But I think because it was lit up quite a lot against that darker sky, it does give that infrared feel.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything special. It was just like I thought. I've split the scene right in half, which is generally against the rules, but I had to do that to get the reflection in both because I couldn't. And if I went any wider, you started getting that dry sand in, so it was a bit of a tricky shot. But it was cool. It was good to see the others get that shot as well. And
yeah,
what I like about what we do is we walked up there, and Alan had gone up around the corner, and Janet had gone up with me. And when we got to the corner, they were all sort of standing back 20 meters from that wet sand. And I just walked up and went, hey, there's a reflection right here. And they're like, oh, I would never have thought of that. So it was good to be able to pass on some of those little tips that, make sure you explore everywhere, go a bit closer, go a bit further back, and make sure it works for you when you're taking your shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great result there. So
it's good.
Like it. Right. Let's move now. These are in no particular order. The next one might be another one of Cameron's. It might be one of mine. I don't really know. I'm not that organized.
You're working me a bit hard here.
It's one of Cameron's.
It is one of mine. 2 for 2. So that was the same day. This is back at the 12 Apostles.
So these 2 photos are like an hour apart.
Yeah, about an hour apart. Yeah. So this is back at the Some Apostles. Now, for those who are watching, right in the middle of that sort of screen on the beach down the bottom, you can see what looks like a little rake mark. That's all. Yep, that's one. That's all the little penguins
there as well.
Little footprints in there.
Yeah. So here, all this grass area is penguin colony, as it is up here as well.
Yeah.
So when we got there for sunrise, in this little area here, there was a heap of penguins scooting out to sea.
They were, weren't they? It was pretty cool. So this one was just another one, just trying to get a different sort of composition on the shot. And Jenny, who was set up, was also. Have you seen Jenny's shots? She's got some great
Jenny's
shots.
Been sharing them on Facebook. I've been commenting. Yeah, Jenny did very, very well.
Very well. So well done, Jenny. So when she was there, she was taking this same sort of shot and I gave her a bit of advice about just bringing up that foreground a bit so you can get a bit of color in those grasses there. But again, it was just another beautiful moment. Just a pretty simple composition with the sun setting. I don't normally like to shoot directly into the sun, but
Yeah.
this one you just had to do it because that's the way it was.
Yeah, it gave you no choice, and that
Mm.
that was what I loved about it was we were rule breakers here because we had to be like
Yeah,
that's where the sun was setting.
yeah,
What I really liked about our sunset session here was again the group got split up a little. I think there was
mm,
4 or 5 tripods where you were.
yeah,
There was 2 of the ladies at the top of the stairs. I was up the top with Alan. Alan did really well. He staked out his spot really early,
yeah,
and what I loved about it was his commitment to the shot. He was not giving up on that composition.
yeah,
And he also ended up with an absolute banger of a shot from that spot.
yeah. Cool.
Because he was up a little higher and stepped back a bit. He didn't get as much of the beach in the foreground,
Yeah,
but he got a little bit more of the sort of grasses and stuff like that. And yeah, it worked really, really well. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, great spot there.
Yeah, no, again, it was just a magic kind of sunset, and like I said, we all had front row seats because we got there early enough, so we didn't have people pushing in front of us and stuff like that. It was
Yeah.
just a bit of stuff behind us, but it was good to see. Like I said, I've only been to 12 Apostles maybe 3 or 4 times ever,
Yep.
and each time I seem to go pretty well.
Yep.
We'll talk about it later, but every time I seem to go down to the area, something it always looks the same to me, but it's that same is usually pretty good. But
Yeah.
yeah, one thing I did do on this shot, which I thought was interesting, and I was talking to her mate David about it, is it had that real sort of warm light to it. And David, has shot a lot of film in his days,
Yep.
I turned around and I said, David, this needs a tobacco filter. That's what it needs. And he's like, you're right, Cam, it does. And then all of a sudden we had this conversation about dialing in the color temperature of the tobacco filter
Yeah.
manually into our cameras. So we had that same effect as the filter. And
Yep.
that's what this is. This is actually dialed in at whatever, I can't remember what it was now. It's like 6,700 kelvins or something like that.
Yep.
So it's actually manually dialed in white balance, which I've never done before,
Yeah.
to get that warm feeling about it. So just a different way of shooting. It was
Yeah.
interesting. It was a great little conversation we
You
had.
can have a lot of fun with white balance
Mm.
without getting silly with it, and just incremental little changes, as you say, to warm it up or cool it down. Yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah. So I was happy with it. Yeah.
Yep, good shot. All right, let's see if you go 3 for 3. You ready? Oh, you
Guarantee it.
did.
You haven't put these in any order, have you? You've just done my 5 first.
No, I don't know.
No?
Oh, I know where this is.
Yeah. So this is again down the bottom of Give Some Steps. So previous shot of the black and white one is that Postle straight ahead up around the corner. So this one, again, just looking for that foreground interest. We had a little bit of a mini session about looking for that foreground interest to sort of complement what you're actually there for. And we had this nice sun rays coming over the side of that cliff there with some sea haze, which was nice. So we found some seaweed. We lined it up as best we could. Would have been nice if that sand was all wet around the seaweed, but then you might have lost the little streaks that are going off it. So again, it was just a pretty straightforward sort of shot. We had a really good chat with Janet at this stage about using that wide angle lens and really pointing that down and accentuating that foreground and make that sort of seaweed the hero shot. So, but for me, it was all that light sort of pouring over that cliff face, and there was some guy yelling at me from the top as well, screaming his head off at me.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've got 4 participants up here.
Yeah, they're coming down now.
That in the horizon there, that is the platform. So that's the
That's
new platform that overlooks the
Yes.
Summer Apostles that is not open yet. Well, it wasn't open a week ago. It might be now. It looks
Surely it's gonna
very
be open.
close to being open.
Yeah.
And what you can see there is actually one of the apostles around the side of the cliff. So that little look out there, I'm really keen to get to see what it's going to be like, because you can shoot back towards Gibson Steps, and you can get this apostle in a foreground at sunrise.
Right.
So
it sort of gives you both way options.
You'll get options aplenty there. So
a bob each way.
Yeah, Gibson Steps, great, fantastic spot. And look, not overly difficult to get back up Gibson Steps. Like there's a lot of steps, but it's not too bad. They're very, very, you got a good rail to hang on to. And
it certainly wasn't as hard as some other steps.
True. All right, let's go for another shadow.
That'd be mine. There we go. you put these in no order at all, have you?
I think it's the way the files were named. But
yeah.
Look, I mean, I know this is your photo, Cam, but like we got to the Redwoods, and basically, the Great Ocean Road trip I did all the scouting for it. It's my backyard. I know all the locations. When I imagined what we would get in the redwoods, I was like, yeah, people will like that. It'll be some nice, it's in a forest. It'll be dark. There'll be cool light. There'll be, it's a nice place. I knew that the creek was there, the stream was there.
Yeah.
And as we entered there, in the back of my mind, it's like, right, we've got about 45 minutes here. Well, that went out the window really quickly when
within the first 2 minutes.
When we looked deep into the forest and we just had these rays. And yeah,
that was it. That was all
I'm
she
still
wrote.
shaking my head that we were able to get. Now, having thought about it, it was dead calm. It was blue skies, and one valley over, they were burning off. So
that helped.
yes,
No.
So,
it was cold. It was foggy. It was atmospheric. We got there early in the morning.
No, well, according to some photographer who shall remain nameless, Tom Putt, we took a smoke machine with us.
Tom Putt, he's such a wanker. Oh, he's going to get arrested for doing his drone courses too. I'm just putting it out there, Tom. You're going to get in trouble. You heard it first here on the best show in the world. Is that you can't do what you're doing.
So this shot,
yes,
Cam.
Listen, you're just moving on from Tom.
Yep.
This shot is dedicated to Tom Putt because I've never seen him get a shot like this before because he doesn't go to these places. But no, you're right. We walked into the redwoods. As I was mentioning before, I've been to these redwoods, I think twice, and both times have had light like this. I just assumed that's what happened in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, it does not.
No, apparently
it's not common at all.
No. So we got there and straight away everyone was like, wow, it was almost collectively everyone went, wow. And collectively everyone went, we're not spending 45 minutes here. We're spending an hour and 45.
Yeah. And it was brilliant. Well, and we say off the top, the very first thing we talk about when we get a group together on these tours is flexibility is key.
Yeah.
So we were able to, shuffle things around to be able to just take advantage of this light, because this light, I can tell you right now, wasn't there the next day.
No, absolutely. We drove past there. It wasn't there.
It was nowhere near this. No. So that was great. I think, well, I enjoyed giving people the flexibility, but I also think people appreciated the fact that we could be so nimble and move things around. So
for a couple of blokes, that's
can I ask you what you shot this with, please, Cameron?
As in camera wise?
Yeah, camera wise.
Settings. So this was shot on the Fuji GFX 100S.
Yep.
And the 100 to 200 mil telephoto lens.
Now at 200, I would imagine.
It wasn't at full. I think it was around about sort of 150, 130.
Yeah.
But I had tried my wide angle lens in there, and that beautiful bit of light just got lost in all the, because there's hundreds of trees in there. It just got lost in it. So I quickly determined that I needed to change over and zoom in. I just picked one tree, put it in the middle, point towards the light, and just expose correctly.
It was funny, wasn't it? Because I think you were the same as me. We saw that light and just went, holy crap, get these shots.
Yeah.
And it was there the whole time.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We had a bit of panic to start with, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, this is not going to last. This is not going to last. We need to get this shot and get everyone set up as best we could and get them organized. And then after about 15 minutes, everyone's like, oh, I'm moving on to another spot. I've nailed that one. The light's so good over there. But it did move. It kept moving a bit through the forest.
Yeah.
Like that shot that you posted today, which might be one of your shots, I'm not sure, but with all the ferns, like some ferns were lit up and then a couple of minutes they weren't, and the ones behind were. So it was moving, but it was staying consistently.
There's a teaser for you, folks. Stay tuned. You might see that image coming up.
Teaser. But this is the Fuji on a tripod, about 150 mil, I reckon it is.
I think also here at the Redwoods, we got pretty lucky because there was very few other people in there. I mean, there was only a handful of other groups in there. A handful of people doing a TikTok video, it looked like. What
were they doing? They weren't talking.
I don't know. It was kind of curious. I'm sort of interested to see what they were doing. It was great. At one point, a family came through with a couple of young kids, and they were just running through the forest. They loved it.
They're now buried in the forest because they ruined all their shots.
It was like the enchanted forest for them. I loved seeing that. That was awesome. The kids just like, wow, how cool is this?
I think one thing that we may have started is because people saw that our posts on social media that night.
Yeah.
So again, we're feeding the machine, aren't we, of places to go to. We want these places to ourselves, but then we post these really nice photos of that place.
How could you not share a place like that? Like
that's right.
That sort of really Yeah, no, it was
Hmm.
for me, it was the highlight was going into there. So anyway, cool.
I think the highlight for me was the light we got in there.
Yeah,
To me there was other wonderful highlights on that trip,
definitely.
which were equal to this. But I think if we're rating this trip on which is the best light that we had, this one hands down.
Yeah, took the cake easily. Right.
It would have been nice if it was wet and raining though. Can you get that
Okay.
next time?
February, sure. Late Feb, done.
Yeah,
I'll make
sure.
it. We'll get some more atmosphere down there.
All right. Next one's mine. No, it's
This
not.
one's so I've taken 1 trillion photos at this location.
True, that's a lot of photos.
Yeah, definitely 1 trillion.
Yeah.
And this, to me, this photos, it's more about I don't know, it's the feel of the shot because this is a good, I want to say 45 minutes before any sun has even touched those apostles. And yet they look like they're being lit up.
Yeah.
And part of it is the fact that it's the limestone and sandstone, but the other part of it is that it's actually moonlight. So there was a 3/4 moon up to the right-hand side here. And putting a slightly more telephoto lens on, I really enjoyed shooting with. This is done on my Olympus EM1X with the world's worst lens, the 12-200. But it works. It's got a beat and I can dance to it. Minimal editing required, just because it was so dark. I was able to set up on the tripod. It's not sharp, and the reason it's not sharp is because I was on a tripod and it was a little bit breezy, let's say.
Now, just stepping aside for a second, at any stage in this workshop, did you leave your tripod
absolutely
unattended?
That photo right there was taken seconds before my background was taken seconds before my tripod blew over.
So it fell over with the camera on top. Idiot. And I must admit, I reckon 3 or 4 people in our group were looking around, looked back where you were and went, well, that's going to fall over, and just kept going.
Right. No, it fell over. It was funny. But it's an Olympus gear, so I just
look at you.
blew a bit of dirt off it and kept taking photos basically.
Have they rang you, have they?
Yeah, they're looking for an ambassador.
All right, okay.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, look, this play, it's phenomenal, guys. If you get a chance, do yourselves a favor. Don't miss getting here to take some shots. There's just something about it. It blows my hair back big time, this place. So, and even if you look deep into the frame as well, you've got the cliffs, being lit by the moonlight, the layering in there. The angle as well. So when we got there, a lot of people just like, oh, quick, set up a tripod. But if you walk further down the platform, you open that view up a little more, which I encouraged everyone to do, even though it was windy and cold. They all went down and saw what I was doing and got the shot. So that was great. But yeah, definitely. I don't know. I don't think you can beat that for Australia's greatest.
I don't know. I think that's something we could
comment below. What's your favorite view in Australia?
I think we need to put it out there that if
definitely
put it, even though we've got the winter competition running, if you have what you think is the greatest view in Australia. And I don't mean a picture of your girlfriend's butt or your man's arms. I don't want anything stupid like that.
I was going to say a pint of Furphy Crisp.
Or pint or something like that. We want to see your what you think is the greatest view of Australia. Some of you have been and gone, that's it, number one. Chuck it on the Down South Photo Show Facebook page. And
well, there's a reason this place is so popular.
And we'll tell you you're wrong.
That's right. Next
to be yours. It is yours. There you go.
Now, this photo is
AI.
Straight out of camera. There is a hand on heart, swear on my children's lives. This is 100% zero editing.
Right.
So I was so happy with this shot. And so I was up there, as I said earlier, with Alan. I stood beside him because I was watching his composition evolve before my very eyes as the sun dipped. And he nailed it. I had the wonderful Photo Pills app on my phone, and I was looking at exactly where the sun would go down, and I positioned myself so I could get this shot, because what you're looking at there is on the right is the cliff line, on the left is one of the apostles. So, and then the layering in the distance. And if you look right at the base of the sun there, you'll even see it looks like maybe a power line or I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it was windmill. No, it was power lines. Yeah, I noticed them as well.
And then the little streak of cloud that went across the front of the sun.
Behind the sun.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It looks like it's going behind the sun, but because it was just a wispy little thing of cloud, the sun's actually burning through the cloud. So, it's almost an abstract kind of shot, but what I ended up with was really clean lines in the foreground, and then the gradient of color. Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really, really happy with this shot. This one might go on the wall, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Not It's not the greatest shot I've ever taken, but it was the process behind
Yeah.
it, I think, and
And
also
so,
the experience of being there on one of our tours,
yeah.
and sharing it
Well,
with a participant. It was great.
well, sometimes that's the thing. It doesn't have to be the greatest shot in the world, but there could be one of the better moments in the world.
Yeah,
And I think that's sometimes what people forget is they're striving so much to get that killer shot instead of maybe going to get that killer moment
yeah.
and being in it. And like you said, like I remember I was down below watching that as well. And I think I was talking to Victoria and Jenny at the time. I'm like, that sun's going to go right in that gap. It's going to go. And there were David's like, oh, I don't think so. It's going to maybe just skim
Yeah.
it. And as it got further down, we realized it wasn't on
Yeah, because
center.
the sun doesn't go down,
It doesn't go
does
up and
it?
down. No.
That's right. So this, in our case, it was going down, sure, but it was also moving
Yeah.
north to south.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah, it was
So that
cool.
was cool. Very good
I
spot.
reckon. Look, and I hope people aren't screaming at the screen, but I've got a feeling that was about 1/4000th of a second. That might have even been higher. But 1/4000 sounds about right.
Yeah. But he's frozen the sun. The sun moves at thousands of kilometers an hour. So
That's exactly right, and
hmm,
it looks like it's not moving at all.
no.
All right, let's have a look at the next photo, shall we?
Ah,
Uh, Mr.
uh,
Blake,
uh,
you've outdone yourself.
so this is the last sunset that we did
Correct.
down at the Cape Otway Lighthouse. And again, a big shout out to those guys for letting us in and letting us stay a bit longer than normal and
That was
being
one part of the tour that I couldn't. I threw caution to the wind because I tried to call them, I emailed them,
you
and
did,
got
yeah,
no
nothing.
reply. So I thought, righto, let's just go there and hope for, because basically the whole Cape Otway Lighthouse precinct closes at 4:30,
Yeah,
and like last entry's at 4:30. Then want you out of there by 5.
yeah.
Well, the sunset is at 5:20 when we were
Yes.
there.
Yeah. So we planned this trip really well. Well,
So
it was lovely they let us
I got
to
in
get
there,
in.
and so I didn't even barely have to ask them. They just said, "Sure, that's
Sure.
totally fine. Here's the
So
keys. Lock
uh,
up after you leave."
yeah, that's it. They said make sure you turn the light on before you leave.
Yeah,
Um there was a lady who was part of that. What do you remember what her name was?
Joe.
Joe. So she
Hello,
was a
Joe. She's a
hello, Joe.
subscriber to the channel now.
She is, and she was a photographer in her own right. So, but we sat there, and this is the kind of moment that I like at these workshops where everyone's just like, you know what, stuff this. I'm setting up here, and I'm not
Yep.
moving.
Yep.
We had Frances who was running around like she always does, doing her thing, but everyone else just said, okay, this is the view we're going for, and we just
Yep.
sat there and waited. Like we were there for an hour or so.
Yep.
Um, and as the sun went down, we started getting some nice color. But to me, this always screamed out that black and white with that white fence
Definitely.
running down there. And
Definitely.
we got lucky with those high level clouds coming through there. So
Yep.
I just decided black and white was the way to go.
Yep.
And I was really happy with this. I think this would be one that could print up really nicely on a
Yeah,
big canvas or
definitely.
something like that. But
Yep.
again, it's not anything majorly hard with this shot. It's just put the lighthouse in the middle, have that leading line coming out from the bottom left frame, try to keep that horizon below so the hot lighthouse has a bit of room to breathe, and
Yep.
then just cue the clouds, which just happened to happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think by the time we got here, which was, on the Wednesday night, we started on the Sunday night. This was now the Wednesday night.
yeah,
Um, I think this is where I really started to relax into the tour, because we'd got fantastic conditions all the way through.
yeah,
And then when I saw that we were going to get a epic sunset behind, an iconic place like this, it was,
yeah,
yeah, it was great, because, when you run these tours, you hold your breath a little bit. It's like hopefully we're going to get these. Now, if had we not got these conditions, we would have been fine, because
yeah,
the locations themselves are photogenic in pretty much any light.
yeah.
We got icing on the cake, though. We got, stunning light at the Apostle, stunning light at the Redwoods, and stunning light here. So,
And we had good light in the waterfalls as well.
and the waterfalls as well, which we haven't even touched on yet.
No.
Yeah. So look, yeah, this was brilliant. It made my day to see that sunset right there.
Well, what it made me feel that whole week as well is like we had like stunning conditions,
Yes.
and I'm a bit like you, like you're sort of not on the edge the whole time, just making sure that everyone's going all right, everyone's, having fun, and we're getting to the spots where we need to go that we said we'd take them. And so there's a lot of going on behind the scenes between you
Yeah.
and I, and we
Yeah.
debrief every night and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But one thing in the back of my head was like, oh, this weather's just too good. It's too good.
Yes.
Like, it's
It was
too sunny.
almost
It's
too
too
good, wasn't
sunny.
it? Yeah.
Where we needed a bit of cloud, but thank God we didn't hang around for an extra day, because we would have lost ourselves off the cliffs, because it
Oh,
came
mate,
in
for the last 4 or 5 days since we left the Great Ocean Road, it's been
terrible.
horrible
Yeah,
conditions.
that's right.
Like force 10 gales,
Yeah,
clouded out, like really like, and that grey. Ugh.
yeah.
The forest would still be great, but the coast stuff, not so good.
Yeah, so I sort of went through that workshop thinking, just a bit of cloud, or just something a bit different. But when I look back on the shots now after coming home, I'm like, you know what? It's an ocean coastline. It was a bit wild with the wind every now and then, but we got good clouds most days. We got good sunrise, sunsets. I would be hard pressed to think anyone came off that tour and went, the photos I got were just mediocre. Um,
No, I know
I'm
no
never
one
I'm
was
never
thinking
going
that.
again, type of thing. So yeah.
I've got no idea what photo we're up to, but we'll
Well,
go to
I'm
the
out.
next
I think
one.
I'm out. I'm
I
done.
think you're right. So I must have a couple to go.
Yeah.
Um, so this guy, this is a Nankine's Kestrel, and this guy was perched up, literally overlooking the 12 Apostles. So this was pointed out to me by one of who pointed this out. I think it might have
Uh,
been Frances, actually. She had the big lens, the big white lens out.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, like there's something about seeing gorgeous birds like these in a spot like that. So this is on the M1X with my 100 to 400 lens. Obviously tightened the crop as much as I could to get, and again, for the second workshop in a row, Cameron, I have a rim lit animal.
Yes, you do. You seem to do pretty well with the rim lighting.
Yeah, I mean the wombat that I got, I looked at that photo just today. I was like, man, I'm so thrilled with that wombat photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I'm stoked with as well. I love shooting wildlife. I mean, we bang on about landscape a lot, and we are landscape photographers mostly. But
Yeah.
the great thing about being out in the landscape is you quite often see animals.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's why having the big lens handy helps as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, these birds were absolutely fantastic. And this guy, he sat there for ages, just sat
Yeah.
there enjoying the view. He's clearly sat there quite a few times, given all the bird droppings that are underneath him there. If it's his little perch,
That's his
it's
home.
like, nah, this is
Yeah.
where I hang out. And he enjoys the sunset as much as we do by the looks of him.
Well, there was one really lovely moment with this, and this is where I love experience. I was talking to David, and David had his big lens out, and we're having a
Yep.
look, and everyone was sort of waiting for him to take off, and he was there for a while on his own. He didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, quite a
And
while.
and as he took off, David had his camera ready, and instead of doing what most young fellas do, and just hold the button down and spray and pray and hope to get it,
Yep.
David just tracked him and took
Yep.
1 or 2 shots, and bang, that was it.
Yeah.
And I actually thought, I'm like, oh, he's missed that. And David goes, oh, look, got him. Okay. And it had like this beautiful panning of
Yeah.
the 12 apostles in the background with
Yeah,
this
I
bird.
know.
I'm like, that's just experience over excitement. Like,
Yep.
he knew that he's probably shot 1,000 birds in his life, that he only needs 1 or 2 good ones to get a
Yep.
shot. Where I was like, okay, just hold the button down and just machine gun that bird as it goes past. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
right.
was
No,
good.
it was pretty special. So righto. So here we are in Jurassic Park again. So this was another shot in the redwoods. The shot that Cam took is literally what 30 meters to the
Yeah,
right of this image.
yeah,
As we sort of made our way further into the redwood forest, it became very apparent to me that I was going to do pretty much whatever I could to get this photo.
even means
Now,
pushing people into that river to get them out the way.
being the conscientious tour guide that I am, I had to hold my breath and wait until everyone got their photo, and I helped everyone to get their photo, and I did the right thing. The whole time I'm just looking over at this spot going, that I've got, please light, hang there for a minute. I have to get this shot. There's a couple of things that I don't like about this shot. One is the mess in the creek. Like, it's just full of crap.
Yeah,
I wish that wasn't there, because the reflections, you can just see the reflections peeking through. Could you imagine that shot
yeah,
with
yeah,
pure reflection? It wasn't to be. That's fine. That's what we had. There wasn't a lot of water around, so the creek wasn't flowing that fast. But goodness me, the light on the ferns, and you
yeah,
mentioned it earlier, the light coming through the ferns as well, so you can see the ones on
yeah,
the right there and the ones in the background. With it was it was special. It was ethereal light, and to be able to get it like this was really, really cool.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, it was, as I say, I just kept looking at that location going, that's the shot I want. And then when I set up there and pointed the camera, it took a bit of sort of cropping in. I had to sort of get a
Yeah.
few things out of the frame that were distractions. In fact,
Yeah.
now that I look at it, there's a gigantic big stick going right through the middle of the frame. I've only
Yeah.
just noticed it.
But
But
it's yeah, I tried to do that same shot. Yeah, I haven't actually looked at that shot I did of this bit. Yeah.
yeah,
But it's funny you say like what you said, like people come on these workshops and they want to have a great time and that's the whole thing. But we're also photographers and we're also
yeah,
human. And like you said, I was the same. I'm like, there is shots galore in this forest.
yes, yes,
And yes, you can say, come on, guys, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. You won't get them all because you've got to set up all these people and everyone's in
yeah,
everyone's way.
yeah.
So it is hard sometimes being us
It
because we
is.
sit back going, well, there's the shot of the year, but I'm not going to get it yet.
Yep.
I'll just hold back
No,
and
that's right.
it might not happen. So,
Yeah.
if you
There's
go,
two. It goes two ways. I think what we just said, where we help everyone get their shots first, and then as people start to disperse and chase different compositions, then we can
yeah,
do the same. We can start
yeah,
looking at our own photos. But I think what people got a lot of value out of, and you did it a couple of times on the trip, and I certainly did it a couple of times on the trip, was basically I just grabbed 4 or 5 people on the
yeah,
trip and just say, okay, I'm going to show you how I would get this shot, and I
yeah,
am literally yelling my settings. I'm right.
yeah,
Right now I'm on this. Right now I'm doing this. I'm going to raise the tripod a bit. I'm going to drop it a little bit. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to crop that, blah, blah, blah. And I found particularly at the Redwoods, people were like, okay, this is not light that I see every day.
yeah,
And therefore it's probably going to be a little bit tricky for me to know how to capture it.
yeah,
Let's listen in.
yeah,
And I just went through the motions of how as excited I was, I just had to calm down, count to
yeah.
3, take a breath.
Settle down,
Let's
Brendan.
get this.
Settle
Let's
down.
not stuff this up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then explaining to people exactly, literally yelling them my settings. Right
yeah,
now, I am on this ISO, I am on this, or whatever it turned out to be.
yeah, yeah,
And I found people then used that approach of my settings are good now. Now it's just compositions.
yeah. That was right. Well, that light didn't change in intensity,
It
so
changed bugger all through that
so
whole 90 minutes that we were
once you
there,
got
or
one on the
2 hours we
screen,
were there.
yeah, once you got one on the screen that looked good, that was it. You're off. Like you said, you just chase those compositions.
Yeah.
So that was one thing about that was, oh, there's shots everywhere. The other thing is, well, I find it quite funny. Now, if this was Tasmania, um, and people knew how this shot was created, you would be dragged through the town square and hung for your work
Yeah.
because the light was created by burning forests. And I'm serious here. Down
Yeah.
here in Tasmania, if anyone puts up a shot of a sunset or a sunrise that has a lot of smoke haze, they do a lot of burning off in autumn down here as well.
Yeah.
That image will never get recognized for a good image. And we were lucky that this is the sort of moment we had. But it's funny that we're taking photos of this beautiful, pristine wilderness sort of forest, and this light that some of the best light we've seen in years was purely created by burning off a forest just on the other side of a hill. Like
Yeah. I mean,
I hate
yeah,
I hate to
it's
say the word, but it's a bit of a juxtaposition.
it is. Well, I mean, it's it's
Poetic.
plantation forest that they were,
Yeah,
that had just been harvested, and
yeah,
they burned parts of it. That's basically what happens. So,
yeah.
it's yeah, you're right. I mean, the juxtaposition of the pristine forest, but those redwoods aren't meant to be there.
That's right. They're also fake. That's all
They're
AI.
not. They're certainly not native. So,
No. But
you've
it's
also
just
got to
a
factor that in as well.
it's just a funny situation to put yourself in where
Yeah.
we're there, it's photographing nature and we all love nature and we all want to protect it and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
then
definitely.
what's created is by a man-made thing. Just quite quickly as well, I watched something last night that I think was one of the best documentaries I'd seen in a long, long time. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Some people have probably seen it, but it's called The Giants.
Okay.
It's a story about Bob Brown, the Greens leader. Again,
Fantastic.
I'm not a Greenie or anything like that, but I respect the work he's done. But it wasn't just about him. It was about the science of forests and these giant trees that grow here in Tassie and the fungi and stuff like that. It was very, very, very good. It's on Netflix at the moment. So if you've got
Okay.
Netflix, go watch The Giants.
The Giants.
The Giants. It's got all this sort of like how the forests talk to each other and how the root systems all work to it. Like, it was very, very educational. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And it had some beautiful photography as well. So
We may even pop the link in the description.
go on, I dare.
Yeah, so I mean, with the redwoods, as I was saying, like Cam and I got, well, everyone got this shot, I reckon.
I didn't get that shot.
The one thing I really like about this particular shot is in the leaf litter on the ground is that streak of light.
Yeah.
I think it just added a bit more to it, because it was very, very easy to set up your composition, forget about the foreground because it's all about that light.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my shots are really just a unattractive flaw of that forest. But this one worked because it's got that little bit of light built into it. And it was funny because I got this shot and I had Janet right beside me, and I said, and she was just stood up on that ledge just a little bit. And I said, just bring your camera here for a second and just have a look at that difference it makes in change in elevation.
Yeah.
And that really worked. I was quite happy with that composition in there. And yes, there you go. We've had 3 or 4 photos of the redwoods. So
yeah,
if that doesn't tell you how good that was, then
they're okay. They're okay. Like,
yeah, they were. So
done.
that's it. I'm going to stop the shit. Should I linger on that photo a bit longer because it hasn't had the air time that it deserves? No, goodbye. So, so there you go, folks. That was, as I say, Cameron and I. Look, and we only picked 5. I could have easily picked 15 of that from that trip. I'm sure you were the same, Cam.
Yeah, I was just I've just actually opened my Lightroom as we're talking here, because I'm just trying to think. I've got heaps more shots in that redwood, especially that river shot that you put up. And that morning up there as well. I haven't even looked at those ones yet. So, but it was a great trip. I reckon we should maybe do it again.
Yes. So this is where the plug comes back in. So
in
February, towards the back end of Feb, I believe it's around the 24th of Feb, something like that. We are doing 2025. We are doing that exact trip again. So if you missed out, look, do yourself a favor. You come along, you will get some incredible photos. We will put you in some awesome spots. Now, again, we didn't even mention the 2 fantastic waterfalls that we walked to, Beauchamp Falls, which we walked to on day 2, and Hopeton Falls, which we walked down to on day 3. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. They weren't even at their peak. They weren't flowing that much, but it didn't matter. There's Beauchamp. What an awesome set of waterfalls.
That was pretty cool. Just that whole walk was really nice, actually.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So February 24 to 28.
Thank you, Cameron.
Is when we go. So that's not Valentine's Day, is it? No.
No, that would be February 14. Dsps.com.au, where you can see all our workshops there and all the information about the tour in 2025. Do yourselves a favor. Cam, we've got a couple of other topics to talk about, but we're going to give one of them a miss. We'll go straight into Dear Cam, because we've already rabbited on for too long in this episode.
We've enjoyed ourselves again too much.
Absolutely, but we will bring up the other topics next week that we wanted to talk about, because there's one there in particular that I'm really keen to talk about.
That was interesting, that other topic. We'll come back next week. Dear Cam, is it Dear Cam and Brendan, or is it just Dear Cam?
It actually says, hi guys. Wouldn't you start it with, okay. Hi guys, which sort of includes me, I guess. So
well, it could be the entire audience, really.
True. Hi guys.
Hi everyone.
Hi guys, I'm considering joining your Murray Mallee tour. Photo tour in March next year. Goodness me, we're plugging the tours. That's all right. But I am concerned that I don't have the skill level required. We get asked this a bit. I am shooting with a Canon, lol. That was what it says there. EOS 700D with a couple of kit lenses, one wide and one zoom. Do you think I will be okay on this trip? Thank you, Vanessa.
Well, in the interest of continuing on the theme, burn your Canon, throw it on the fire, and come back to us when you've got another brand, because Canon suck. And we all know that, especially that R1, which looks like, I'm trying to think of, what's his name? Yeah, he's got a face like a busted watermelon. It's got a design like a one-legged sheep or something like that. I don't know.
Clearly Vanessa's not coming on the Murray Mallee workshop. That's fine.
No, and maybe we'll get another letter from Canon. Who knows? Maybe they can check their spelling next time.
Yes, that's true.
Rightio. Well, the simple answer to that is I don't think skill level is a big deal. This is what these workshops are for.
Yeah.
As long as you know how to pick your camera up, turn your camera on, we can get you up to speed within half a day as to where you need to be and what you need to be looking for with your shots. So I don't think skill level's a big issue. And if you're wanting to learn and get better at your photography, then you've got to go out and practice and learn. So that's how you get out there and learn. In regards to shooting with that Canon EOS 700D, couple of kit lenses, perfect. That's fine. Doesn't matter what camera you have.
Absolutely.
No iPhones or Samsungs, but DSLRs or mirrorless SLRs are good. So I think Vanessa would be fine for this trip. We have to say that because we wanted to come on the trip, but
We do.
I think
Yes.
she would be fine.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I do get asked this a lot, on the down low, like people will send me a private message or whatever and say, hey, look, I'm keen on one of your trips that you're doing, but I've only got X, Y, and Z. And look, I don't care what you've got. If you've got a digital camera, yeah, we have to say digital camera. We couldn't really have someone just shooting film, could we?
Well,
I suppose we could.
I have someone coming on a trip. Is it one of our trips? Or no, it's not one of our trips. It's one of my trips, who has emailed me and said, hey, I hope you're not offended. I'm shooting with my Hasselblad the whole time film.
Right.
And I'm like, cool, that's awesome. So
absolutely.
that's fine. Yeah.
Point of difference. So there you go. Even if you have got a film camera, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
The only reason we would prefer a digital camera, though, particularly if you are a beginner or beginner to intermediate, is we want to give you instant feedback, and that's where digital cameras are so good. We can say, hey, I would do it like this, or maybe you should change that sort of thing. But by all means, the Canon EOS 700D is actually quite a capable camera. And the two lenses that it came with, that twin lens kit, that's totally fine. You'll have an 18 to 55, and you'll have an 55 to 250 or 75 to 300. No worries at all, Vanessa. So by all means, come along, join us on a tour.
So does this mean that she's coming now?
I'd say so. If you have a Deer Cam, please hit us up in the links below, email us, smoke signal it to us, whatever we do these days. What are the kids doing these days, Cam?
Or put it on a fake letterhead and send it to us or something like that. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. TikTok it to us.
TikTok it. What is TikTok still around? Have we banned that? Or is that still around?
Probably. Beer donations. If you would like to buy us a beer, dsps.com.au is the website. There is a link there that says buy us a beer. You can buy us up beer. You can buy us a whole box of beer. You can buy us no beer. It doesn't matter. But dsps.com.au if you are considering it.
Regardless, we've still got a problem. So we've had a couple of beer donations. I'm just going to double check that there hasn't been one since our last episode.
Since you last checked.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So we have a beer donation from Sharon T, who actually bought this beer for us just after she got back from the Great Ocean Road.
Good work, Dazzler.
Also known as Darren. That was quite funny.
Yes.
Shout out to Alan as well. Alan's just booked in the macro workshop with Cheryl and I in Cradle Mountain.
He'll get a lot out of that.
He is a laugh a minute, that bloke.
He is.
I enjoy his company. And Mallory H. Mel H. I don't know who that is, but
no, never heard of them.
Probably,
welcome aboard, whoever you are. Very, very good. What a great podcast, Cam. I enjoyed going back through some of those photos. Well, if I do say so myself.
We're not ranked 37 in Ireland for no reason, mate.
Too right. Must be climbing up the charts in Iceland as well.
Wonder what's the most obscure country we've been rated in somewhere.
Estonia. Probably.
Ukraine would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure someone in the Ukraine's listening right now. If you are listening in the Ukraine, drop us a thingy.
I don't think drop is the right word.
What do you got coming up, Cameron?
Sleep. You know what I had? Today I went home. I had brunch with our good friend Chelsea and her little baby. And I came home like, gee, I got home about 10:30. Geez, I'm a bit tired. Woke up at 2:00. Had just a siesta.
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me. I know. I didn't think I was going. I thought I'd just lie down for an hour and maybe just get an hour's sleep.
Yep.
2.5, 3 hours later, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go get the kids from school. I got to go. Jesus, I was meant to be doing this. I'm meant to be doing that. I've lost the whole day, so I must have needed it. But so I'm off this week, and then Monday next week. So after this comes out, I'll be on my way to Flinders Island.
Very good. That's right. You got a double Flinders coming up, haven't you?
I've got Flinders Island. Then I've actually got almost a month off, and then I'm off to Flinders Ranges. But in between there, I've got a couple of jobs I'm doing and a few other things. So
very good. Before I tell you what I've got coming up, very special shout out to Diane. Diane is a avid listener of the show, and Diane found my printing business, Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, my photo printing business, via this very podcast.
Did she just?
and she left a very, very lovely message for me. I printed up some photos of her macro fungi shots, and she was very, very impressed with our level of printing. So I think that deserves a shout out. Thank you, Diane, for sending such a lovely message through. Hopefully she's listened this far.
Is this Diane from the trip? Different Diane?
No, different Diane.
You mean there's two people called Diane?
This is Diane A. So
Diane A.
Not, and I need to use full names, but thank you, Diane. She knows who she is. Thank you.
Cool.
What have I got coming up? I'm glad you asked. Work.
Oh, you sound like you're not happy about that.
No, I'd much rather be on another Great Ocean Road tour. I do intend on getting back to a couple of those locations. I was very, very greatly inspired by this trip, so I'm going to get on back there. I'll be running the shop for the next week. We have the King's birthday long weekend coming up, so
we do.
And that'll be on Monday, off to the MCG to watch the Mighty Demons.
I was just about to
have a crack at the Pies.
How is your footy team going?
They're up and down, like the proverbial. So we shall see what they'll dish up for us on Monday.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. And then, back to record another show with your good self probably next week. So,
well, next week I'll be in Flinders Island.
Well, maybe we won't. Maybe I'll get a very special guest on. We haven't had a guest. Bit of feedback for you. Someone mentioned the other day, been a bit of a time since we had a guest on.
All right.
So I might have to get someone. Might have to interview someone while you're off on Flinders Island.
Okay. All right. I've got a couple of suggestions. I'll let you know. I'll let you know off air.
Let me know off air.
Off air. I can't tell you on air because
because it might not happen.
That's right. Most likely won't happen. So,
but yeah, I've got a couple of workshops this month as well. My entry level workshop and my landscapes and seascapes workshop are both happening this month. They'll be linked somewhere at cameraandphoto.com.au probably.
How's my canvas going?
Your canvas is printed, as you know, because you saw it printed.
Yes.
And I don't know how I'm going to get it to you. I might have to.
No, I'm going to pick it up.
Oh, that's right. On the way back from the Flinders Ranges?
That's correct, yeah.
Then why are you asking me how it's going? That's months away.
I just like to see how it's going. I'm impatient.
It looks great. That's it. It did print up very, very well. It's actually one of those photos that the folks saw earlier.
It was surprise, the redwoods.
Well, what do you know? Awesome. All right, great. This has been episode. Sorry, Cam, are you all done?
I think so, apparently. No, we're crapping
Thanks for everyone who's listened this far. And for everyone who commented last week that they'd listened this far, thank you. This has been episode 123 of the Down South Photo Show. We will catch you for episode 124 in the very near future. Bye for now.
Bye. See you later.